I'm Jane King for GenWealth TV at the Drone Technology and Global Development Conference brought to you by Roth at the United Nations in New York. And so with me, one of the executives that was part of this seminar and this conference today.
My name is Alex Fink. I'm the president and US CEO of SWMR. We actually recently went public just a couple of months ago, so people here in New York have heard a lot about us recently. But the basic mission of the company is to help drones fly autonomously and operate together in large groups without pilots.
Okay, where are you listed?
Nasdaq.
At Nasdaq, okay,
Yeah.
What's your ticker?
SWMR.
Okay, so you kind of gave me a brief description of the
Right.
company. Talk about how it was developed. Very interesting story with the company.
Yeah, so the background of the founders is not military. I was building cameras and imaging devices for 18 years before that. My co-founder, he was the head of computer vision and AI at Ring, the doorbell companies that was acquired by Amazon. But he was based in Kiev, and when the full-scale invasion of Ukraine started, he decided that maybe doorbells are not the most important thing to be working on right now. So he started volunteering for the different drone squadrons, started helping out startups in the ecosystem. This was right in the beginning of the war of drones concept in Ukraine. And so he calls me up one day and he says, I think I figured it out. We want to launch millions of drones, but we don't have millions of pilots. We need to add autonomy to this so one person can control hundreds. And that's when I registered the company the next day.
How does that work? Explain who controls it. Is it preset, AI?
Yeah.
Like, how does this all work?
So the basic idea is humans set the objectives. They select the targets, they prioritize, they decide what the mission template is, what the rules of engagement are, and after that, they send it to the drones, and the drones just do it. So think of this almost like pressing a button on your PC. You don't know which processes are launched, which CPU, which core of the CPU these processes run on, what assembly commands are run in which order. This is not a job for humans. But the human decides which button to click. The human decides what needs to be done. So this is also our separation. We provide autonomy to implement the will of humans.
And you said even 5 years ago, we couldn't have seen this. So kind of explain the role that drones have played in the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah, so if you look at the battlefield right now, more than 90% of the casualties on both sides, the Ukrainian and the Russian, are caused by small drones. 5 years ago, this was definitely not the case. Small drones were just not in use in warfare, right? So everything that you knew as warfare 5 years ago is now less than 10% of the action. It's still operating. There's still artillery, mortars, all of these things are used. But drones took over almost everything. And then unmanned ground vehicles, different type of drones, they took over most of the logistics because you don't want a person driving this vehicle when they're going through a zone in which they might get shot. And you see the same thing in every single domain. If you look at the marine domain at sea, Russians used to have a Black Sea fleet that everybody was really afraid of. They don't have a Black Sea fleet anymore. It was hiding in port for a while, and now it went inland and is just completely gone because Ukrainians used small unmanned boats, USVs, to basically ram the large Russian ships until the Russian ships, a third of them sank and 2/3 ran away. So this is what everything looks like right now. Now the bad news is bad guys are using the same tactics. So what Iran is using against Gulf countries looks a lot like what you saw in the war in Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
It's very inexpensive unmanned vehicles. A Shahed 136 costs about $20,000 to $40,000. But to shoot it down right now, you need Patriot missiles that cost $4 million each. And sometimes you see Gulf countries launching 6, 7, 8 of those to shoot down one Shahed. Now, this makes no economic sense unless you consider what's behind the Patriot battery, right? An oil refinery or a desalination plant or a data center, things that cost billions of dollars, right? So one of the challenges with drone warfare is not just how to deliver kinetic energy to the enemy, but also how to counter it when the enemy delivers that cheap kinetic energy towards you. So counter UAS is obviously a big focus as well.
Okay, absolutely fascinating. So where do you see the future of drones in warfare going?
So I think nobody knows for sure what the end state is, right? So this is like the PC market in 1980. Everybody knows PCs are going to be very important. Nobody knows what the PCs are going to look like 10 years from now, right? So we're seeing the trend. We're seeing that the manufacturing capacity has gone up by a lot. 5 years ago, maybe the entire world put together was making 30,000 drones a year. Last year, Ukraine alone made 4.7 million drones. This year, it's on track to make 7 million. That's not counting all the other countries. So now that you have this many drones being in production, training pilots is the bottleneck. So autonomy is the obvious next step to replace the pilot and to just say one operator can launch 700 drones instead of having a pilot for each drone. What is the next step after this? We don't know yet.
We'll find out, I guess. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm Jane King for GenWealth TV.